Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for TWiT specials is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
So John Slanina got up at 10 in the morning, 10 in the evening. When did you get up? You got there at 10? He slept from 7 to 9:30 and went to the Apple store at 10 p.m. We went to the our localist Apple store is in Santa Rosa, which is about half an hour north of here. And then I was it's Talk Like a Pirate Day. Arr. Then I was coming home from a dinner party around that time, and I texted him and I said, count the people in line. If there's more than 35, I'm not coming in because we hear there are very, very, very few iPhone 6 Pluses, and we all wanted big iPhones. And then I went to bed, and I got up at 3, and I said, I'm coming in. I'll be there. So I got in the line at 3, and at 3 there were about 40 people in line. I was number 41 in line. And by 6 in the morning, there were well over 100 people in line. It's the largest line I've seen in some time, although the Apple employees, take it with a grain of salt, said that this was nothing compared to the iPhone 5 release. Anyway, there it is. What's interesting is there is no marking on the top of the box. And I think, knowing Steve Jobs' love of the Beatles, Tim Cook did this as an homage to the White Album. Because look, you can just see an embossed iPhone on this. So when we get to the Apple store, they let us in at about 6 in the morning, or 7 in the morning rather, when the mall opened, and we line up in front of the Apple store, and they give us bagels, cream cheese, coffee. It was very nice, and you can see in the back table there just ranks of white boxes like this. And John noted, well, there's about as many tall ones as there are shorter ones, so maybe they have a lot of iPhone 6 Pluses. We'd heard, for instance, that one store in Australia, one Apple store in Australia, only had one iPhone 6 Plus. So we had no idea if we were going to be able to get them. We did. There are limited supplies. For instance, John got pretty much the last Verizon version of the iPhone 6 Plus, and there was only one color left of that. They had told us there were no unlocked versions at all. Even the T-Mobile version they're selling is locked to T-Mobile. Now, it's my understanding with T-Mobile, you can go into T-Mobile and they'll unlock it. And of course, there will be unlocked versions, but not today at the Apple Store. So this is from the Apple Store. And so they looked like they had a fairly good number of pluses. This is a plus. This is an AT&T Plus, locked to AT&T because that's what they had. This one is a 64 gig space gray, just so you know what you're going to get when you open the box here. Apparently, considerably more iPhone 6s than 6 Pluses, but it looked like it was a roughly equal number at the Santa Rosa store. I really like this box. You can't see very well because it's so white, but it's embossed with the phone on it. I don't know if you saw the video in New York City of the kid who was first in line at the Fifth Avenue store. They have the reporter comes in, he opens the box, and it falls right out. It cracks. Oh, that poor little kid. He seemed a little shocked, chagrined. So I'm going to open this much more carefully. What's really interesting is for those of us who have been using Android, particularly those of us using a One Plus, this looks a lot like the One Plus. In fact, I believe it's exactly the same IPS display as the One Plus uses in Cell Touch and all of that. Yeah, it's the same screen. In fact, somebody told me that the reason the One Plus was in such short supply is that Apple was eating all of these screens. And it is spec for spec, the same screen. So iFix has done a teardown now of both. We should be able to compare parts and see. But I was showing people in line and saying, look, it's the same size as the One Plus. And it is. We'll take this off. Nice black bezel around the fingerprint reader, so you can barely see it, can you? Now, one thing people have talked about a little bit is the fact that there's a little bulge here. Apple's PR photos shave that off. Hey, thanks, Gary, for getting this for me. Gary was 8th in line. He got there at 8 p.m. And so I said, and he was only getting one. So I said, Gary, I'll give you a kiss if you get me one. So on the side, the SIM slot, and if you get one today, because they're not selling unlocked, everyone will have a SIM in it, even if you already have an account. For instance, there's an AT&T SIM in this one. No AT&T branding, though. God, it makes me feel like it should be unlocked. It's nice and thin. It feels good. And very metallic. There's the, they call that, now we don't call that the on-off switch anymore. That's the screen lock switch, because it doesn't really turn anything on off. Gosh, true to, I forgot Apple has a physical switch for silence. Still there. And, of course, the rockers. If you look at the back of this, it's very similar to the also aluminum HTC One M8. For antennas, they put plastic bands up at top and bottom. They do the same thing on the M8. Let's power it up. And I think it'll say hello. So, yeah, I'm not sure why there were no unlocked phones. I really don't. That's odd. I wonder if the carriers insisted on that. If you want unlocked, you should get the T-Mobile one. And then, of course, if you're not a T-Mobile customer, I don't know what will happen. But as a T-Mobile customer, I could take it in and say, hey, I'm traveling. And they're very good about unlocking T-Mobile phones. Okay, let me try this. Okay, Google. Okay, Google. Not going to do anything. What do you think, Jason? Any temptation at all? No.
Well,
you know what?
Yeah.
You know what I find cute.
My career is kind of built around Android.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean,
you know what?
There's
I
a lot
find
to
really
like about the iPhone.
They didn't. By the way, they didn't have any leather cases in the Apple Store. They just had silicone rubber cases. You know what I find really cute is all the Apple people who say, "Oh, this is so cool! The autocorrect. We could do Mad Libs and stuff." It's like, you didn't have that before? What?
There are a lot of those things. I mean, there was also when this was going on sale initially, or pre-orders or whatever on Twitter, there was almost like big phone guilt. Like people like, I'm sorry, but you know, I kind of think I'm gonna go with the iPhone 6. Like almost like they were guilty for doing it.
A lot of angst in the line. In fact, the Apple employees who were universally cheerful and chipper went around in the line and had one and said, "Okay, try now." Yeah. A lot of people, even in line, still not sure, although everybody we talked to was in line for a 6 Plus. And that makes sense because, and I don't know how this will shake out, but it seemed like before this happened, the consensus was the 6 Pluses will be in very short supply, but they'll be adequate 6s. So if you wanted a 6 Plus, you would probably, and you couldn't pre-order it, you would want to get in line. Yeah. All right, I am going to give it back to Mike because I know he has to get going. He's going to do an unboxing of his because we got him one. And you know, inside the box, the usual accoutrement. You've got the headphones, not Beats, the same Apple issue headphones that started with a 5, the charger, the lightning cable. And yeah, my Moto X comes unlocked on next Friday, and so I have a feeling that that's what I'll be using day to day because I want it to be unlocked. This will be on AT&T. All right, there you go. A mini unboxing. Unboxing aren't traditionally very useful. I will review this on Before You Buy on Tuesday. Maybe Mike will review his too. I think we bought quite a few, so there are quite a few people around.
Everybody can review one.
Everybody can review one. So this is Space Gray, 64 gigs. I don't feel I need 128 gigs. I don't store as much on the phone as a lot of people do. 6 Plus, that's the 5.5-incher. And as you see, really hand feel, size, even thickness, very similar to the OnePlus One, which was the other one. And we even believe it might be an identical screen. Of course, Apple's the only one with Touch ID. So I'll set this up, let you know. I was told that the T-Mobile no contract that they were selling at the store was locked. They didn't have any, right, John? That's why I got an AT&T. But that's what I was told by the Apple people. There was, you know, they might have been wrong. There was some confusion. They weren't universal in their conviction. And you know what? I know one of the issues is this bump, and I don't even notice it. It's very small. It's only a millimeter or 2. millimeter, perhaps. Okay, I'm going to go back to bed.
Get some sleep.
I'm exhausted. I'm too old to be doing this. You know, it's funny, the character of the line. What do you think, Gary? You've been in other Apple iPhone event lines. Seemed quite different this time. Very diverse, broad range of ages, ethnicities. I was surprised at the number of non-hipsters who were there. In fact, I would say there were few hipsters. I think the hipsters might have moved on. I hate to tell Apple.
The hipsters can't be bothered to wait in line. They pre-order.
Maybe they just don't wait in line. Maybe the sophisticated Apple users had pre-ordered. Yeah. People were showing up for pre-order. The way they do that at the store, if you did have a pre-order, is they put you in a separate line, separate queue. And at least at this store, as an Apple rep became available, they would take one from the waiting line and one from the pre-order, one from the waiting, one from the pre-order, back and forth to make it kind of fair. The user 8980 in the chat room saying that the unlocked 5S didn't show up for a month. So I think the real issue is going to be battery life and camera quality on the big one. All right. Thank you, everybody. There it is, the iPhone 6 Plus, the first one in-house. And there are quite a few more, I think. John didn't get one because you want T-Mobile, and they were out.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Poor John. I was going to buy him one just for waiting in line. Mike, you're on. I'm going back to bed.